Good morning, scholars. Happy Wednesday. It is May 6th. It is Wednesday. It's a beautiful day. It is hat day. If you don't have a hat on, pause your video, go find a hat or something crazy to put on your head and come join me so we can have some fun together today. Miss Rossi has on a sombrero. Yesterday was Cinco de Mayo, so we're doing a little bit of celebrating. I hope you have your hat on. I hope you're taking pictures of you and your hat and sending them to your teachers so we can put it on the Instagram. If you want to be on the GLA Instagram, text a picture of you showing your GLA spirit to your teachers, okay? All right, now we're gonna get started. So we just talked about how today's Wednesday, today's Crazy Hat Day. I hope you're joining me. Tomorrow is Sports Day. So many of you probably know that is Miss Rossi's most favorite day. So tomorrow you can wear a jersey, or you can wear basketball shoes, or you can wear a football something, anything sports. And then Friday is GLA Spirit Day. So you can wear anything Great Lakes Academy. You can wear your uniform, you can wear a sweatshirt, you can wear blue, you can wear something University of Chicago or DePaul. That is Spirit Day. All right, we have such a fun week coming up. I'm so thankful to all my friends that have been participating. Well, I'm going to go back for a second. Special shout out to my friends who did tie-dye day yesterday. I know Olivia Love has a beautiful tie-dye on. Some other friends had tie-dye on. Awesome job. It's so much fun to do Spirit Week with you guys, so let's keep it going. Okay, today we're going to do some learning with inferences. So we're going to make inferences. We're going to make, and you probably already know what two things we need to make an inference. So pause your video now and tell me what two things you need to make an inference. Go ahead and do that now. Nice job. You need text evidence and schema. You need, yes, you have to have text evidence and schema. Remember, schema is what you know. Schema is, very nice. Schema is what you know. So we're going to look at our text evidence and we're going to think about what we know to make a guess. To make an inference is a guess. An inference is a, yes, but we're not just guessing about anything. We're guessing based on the text and what we know. Nice job with your inferences. Now let's go ahead and say our inference sentence stem. Remember, we can use this sentence stem to help us make inferences and to help us use that text evidence and that schema to make the inference. So if you are making a guess about a story or a text, you can use this sentence stem to help you. We're getting ready to read it together on two. Take your finger, put it underneath the first word. We're reading on 2, 1, 2. In the story, I read blank. So that makes me think blank. Nice job. Let's do it one more time. This time I want your hands up with Miss Rossi so I know you're learning. Finger underneath the first word. We're reading together on 2, 1, 2. In the story, I read blank. So that makes me think blank. Ooh, excellent job with your inference sentence stems. Let's go ahead to our character traits, which we are getting so good at. Remember, we talked about lots of character traits when we read our Cinderella stories. We talked about character traits of Ella and Bigfoot Cinderella and the Korean Cinderella and Rough Face Girl and Pear Blossom and regular Cinderella and Cinderella. And we talked about what the characters are like. So a character trait tells us what a character is like. A character trait tells us what a character is like. A character trait tells us what a character is like on the inside. Very nice. So we can also use our sentence stem to make an inference about a character trait, which is what a character is like on the inside. We're going to do some practice in a minute. Before we practice, let's read our sentence stem one more time together on 2, 1, 2. In the story, I read blank. So that makes me think blank. Oh, all right. So we're going to look at what a character says and does. We're going to look at what a character says and does. We're going to look at what a character says and does to think about their character trait, which is what they are like on the inside. Okay, so let's practice. Let's look at number 1. Number 1 says, read it along with me if you're ready. Get ready. Take your finger, put it underneath the word Sam. You're reading with me on 2, 1, 2. Sam did not want to pet the dog by himself, but he did anyways. What character trait can you use to describe Sam? Okay, so let's think about what we know. We know that Sam did not want to pet the dog by himself, but then he did. So what is a character trait that you could use to describe Sam? Pause your video and tell me what character trait you can use to describe Sam now. All right, if you said brave, nice job. If you said proud, maybe. Yeah, he pet the dog anyways. The word I'm looking for is brave. He didn't want to pet the dog. Maybe he was scared of the dog, but he did anyways. So the correct answer is Sam is brave. The correct answer is, yeah, that's what Sam is like on the inside. He is brave. Nice job. Let's go to number 2. You're reading with me. Take your finger, put it underneath the word Ella. This is shout out to Ella and DePaul. Get ready. We're reading number 2 together on 2, 1, 2. Ella kept getting a question wrong on her math packet. Instead of getting upset, she kept trying until she got it correct. What character trait can you use to describe Ella? So Ella kept getting her math wrong over and over again. Some of you might be showing connection here because that happens to all of us. That happens to Ms. Rossi too. She kept getting her math wrong, but instead of getting upset, she kept erasing and trying again until she got it correct. Wow, I love first graders that are doing that. What is a character trait we could use to describe Ella? How would you describe someone who doesn't give up and keeps trying? Pause your video and answer that question now. All right, in the text, I read that Ella kept trying until she got it correct. So that makes me think, I'm using my schema to think, if I keep trying and don't give up, I'm showing determination. Yeah, Ella is determined. Ella is hardworking. Yes, Ella shows endurance. So the word I'm looking for is determined or hardworking, or she shows endurance because she didn't give up. And in the text, it says that she kept trying. So that makes me think that Ella is determined or hardworking. Excellent job, Ella. Nice job, friends, with those character traits. Now we're going to practice thinking about some character traits with our character today, whose name is Abraham Lincoln. Our character's name is, you might have heard of Abraham Lincoln. He was a president of the United States, which means he lived in the White House. And we talked about Abraham Lincoln in first grade when we talked about Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Because I want to remind you, I want to give you some schema or some knowledge that Abraham Lincoln is the president that said that Black people should not be slaves. Remember we talked about some slaves? So Abraham Lincoln was a really, really monumental and really important president because he said that Black people should be treated the same way as white people. So that's something that we talked about when we were learning about Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So today we're going to learn a little bit more about Abraham Lincoln, who was the president of the United States. But in our book today, we're going to read about what Abraham Lincoln was like as a kid. So today our book is called Lincoln Loved to Learn. Our book is called, oh, I can't wait to read about how Lincoln loved to learn. Now in the book, they call him Abe. His name is, yes, Abe is his nickname, and so that is what they say in the text. All right, friends, I want you to go ahead and get started. Please make sure you're reading your table of contents. So please read pages 3 and 4. Go ahead and pause your video and do that now. Excellent reading, friends. Pause your video and read pages 5 and 6 now. Nice job. Friends, pause your video and read through these pages now. Excellent reading. Make sure you're not guessing or skipping words. Make sure you are reading through the words. Go ahead and pause your video and read through these pages now. Excellent job, friends. Keep going. You can do it. Pause your video and read through these pages now. Almost there. Good job. Pause your video and read through these pages now. Last 2 pages, nice endurance. Go ahead and pause your video and read through these pages now. All right, let's go ahead and answer some questions. Let's make some inferences and let's talk about some character traits. Very nice. First question, who was Abraham Lincoln? I want you to look at your text and tell me who was Abraham Lincoln. Go ahead, pause your video and answer that question now. This question came right from the text, so you should have reread page 4 and said, Abraham Lincoln was a president of the United States, and he worked really hard to become president. Yeah, he was one of the presidents. It says it right in the text. Nice job if you got that question correct. Next question is, why do you think Abe's home had more bears than books? Why did Abe's home have more bears than books? Ooh, we're making an inference here. Pause your video, look at your text evidence and use your schema, and pause your video and answer that question now. All right, in the story, I read that Abe was born on the frontier. If I go to the back of my book, let's go to our glossary. Oops. Let's go to our glossary. It says frontier is a wilderness area. That means that a frontier has lots of animals in it. It has lots of wilderness or wildlife. So I'm going to use my schema. Let's look at Abe's home. Look at the picture. So Abe was born in the wilderness. So that makes me think that his family probably didn't have a library close to them or didn't have access to a lot of books, but they had lots of bears because they lived in the wildlife. So here's my full answer. In the story, I read that Abe lived on the frontier. So that makes me think that his family had more bears at his house than books because it was hard for them to find books. Nice job. They lived so far away that it was hard for them to find books, but it was easy for them to find bears. Nice job. Next question. What was Abe's family like? I want you to look at your text, answer the question, what was Abe's family like? Pause your video and answer that question now. In the story, I read that Abe only had one room in his house and the floor was dirt and that he was dirty. So that makes me think that his family was poor. His family did not have a lot of money. Okay, now I'm going to ask you a bonus question. I want you to tell me, what other book have we read in first grade where the character's family was poor? What other book have we read in first grade where the character's family was poor? Okay, I can think of a couple. Number 1, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. Do you remember how he could not go to school because his family was also very poor? So The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, nice job if you got that one correct. I'm thinking of one other, at least one other. Rough-Faced Girl. Rough-Faced Girl couldn't go to school and she lived in a teepee, remember? And she was all dirty. Her family was also poor. Nice text-to-text connection. Nice. Good, hands up, ready? Text-to-text connection. Do it with me. Text-to-text connection. Beautiful. Let's go ahead to the next page. Nice job. What was Abe like as a kid? There's lots of text evidence on these pages. I want you to tell me, what was Abe like as a kid? Go ahead, pause your video and answer that question now. Oh, all right. I'm so excited to see who got this question correct. In the story, I read that Abe worked hard. He would help his father cut down wood, and he would do math. So Abe was definitely a hard worker. Show connection if you agree. Abe was a hard worker. Abe was also curious. He was curious about learning and about school. So Abe was hardworking and he was curious. Abe was, yes, hardworking and curious. Very nice. There's lots of text evidence that supports that character trait. Excellent job. Let's go ahead to the next page. What did Abe love to do? What did Abe love to do? Pause your video and answer that question now. In the story, I read that Abe read anything he could get his hands on. So that makes me think that Abe loved to read. Abe read any book he could get his hands on. So that makes me think, I'm using my schema, that makes me think that he loved to read. Excellent job. Next question. What did Abe do when rain soaked a borrowed book? What did Abe do when rain soaked a borrowed book? Go ahead and pause your video and answer that question now. In the story, I read that the rain soaked a borrowed book, so Abe worked 3 days in the field to pay his friend back. So he ruined a book, and so he had to get money for a new one, so he worked 3 days in the field. Wow, what a hard worker, what a determined hard worker Abe was. Excellent, nice job. Next question. What did Abe and his stepmother have in common? What did Abe and his stepmother have in common? That means what did they have that was the same? What did they have that was the? Go ahead and pause your video and tell me what did Abe and his stepmother have in common now. In the story, I read that his new stepmother owned books and that Abe and her became great friends. So that makes me think that Abe and his stepmother loved to read. So they both loved to read. That is something that they have in common. Something that they have in, yes, they both loved to read. So they had that in common. They're both readers or bookworms, sometimes they call them. Nice job. Next question. Why do you think Abe liked to practice speaking? Why do you think Abe liked to practice speaking? Pause your video and answer that question now. In the story, I read that he pretended to be an important person in town. So that makes me think that Abe wanted to be important, or he wanted to be proud of himself, or maybe you think that Abe just liked to speak in front of crowds of people. That's also a good inference you can make. So Abe wanted to speak in front of people. He liked to tell jokes and tell stories in front of a group of people, and he pretended to be very important. So those are all things Abe did, and those things eventually helped him become the president of the United States. Wow, what a hard worker Abe was. Nice job. What did Abe always bring along with him? What did Abe always bring with him even when he was working? Go ahead and pause your video and answer the question now. Good job, friends. This one comes right from the text. It says, when he worked, he always brought along a book to read. So Abe always had a book to read because he loved to read and he loved to learn. Very nice job. Remember, he was a curious boy. He wanted to learn more information and he was hard working. Let's go ahead to the last page. Nice job. What helped Abraham Lincoln become president? What helped him become president? Go ahead and pause your video and answer that question now. In the story, I read that his words, his ideas, and his hard work helped him become president. So that one comes right from the text. The way that Abraham Lincoln was such a hard worker, that helped him become president. He also had really good words because he was such a good reader, and he had really good ideas because he was so hardworking. So his words, his ideas, and his hard work helped him become president. Now, if you look at this picture, this is called the Lincoln Memorial, and this is in a city called Washington, D.C. Tell me connection if you've ever heard or been to Washington, D.C. Nice job, Ms. Rossi has also been there. And in Washington, D.C., you can find this big, huge statue of Abraham Lincoln, who we just read our book about. Now, Abraham Lincoln was so important to our country, the United States, that he has a statue of him that you can go up and see. So I highly recommend that you add to your list of dreams that maybe one day you can go and see the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. Excellent job. All right, next question, or my last question, my challenge question is, why do you think Abraham Lincoln was such a hard worker when he was a kid? We just read a whole book about all the hard work that he did. Why do you think he was such a hard worker? Why was he hardworking? Why was he honest? And why did he show endurance? I want you to pause the video and I want you to answer that question now. Nice job if you are pushing yourself and challenging yourself to answer a second grade question. Now, I think that Abraham Lincoln was such a hard worker because his family was poor and didn't have a lot of things to give him. And so he wanted to make sure that he was still able to learn how to read and write and do math. And so he worked hard so that he could be smart and go to college and get a job, just like all of you are doing every single day. And so Abraham Lincoln really wanted to be a smart, hardworking boy. And so he did all of his work so that he could grow up and get a job and become president. So he did an awesome job. He was determined. He showed endurance. He was hardworking. He was curious. Now, those adjectives or those character traits also describe a lot of you. So if you are hardworking, like Abraham Lincoln, put your hands in the sky. Nice. If you are curious about things like Abraham Lincoln, touch your nose. Ooh. If you are determined to never give up, put your hands on your hips. Yeah, say, I can do it. All right, friends, nice job reading our book today about Abraham Lincoln. You guys know so much more about Abraham Lincoln now. I'm so proud of you. Great, great job today. I am proud of your hard work. I am proud of you if you read with me today. I am proud of you if you tried your best. Now, I want you to keep growing your brain because it is now May, which means that you are almost a second grader. Whoa. So Miss Rossi's pushing you to watch her video and all of the other videos today. Miss Marsh's, Miss Cherney's, and Miss Javity's, don't forget. And don't forget to do your 30 minutes of Lexia and 30 minutes of Zerd. This is going to help get you ready for second grade, and you have to be ready for second grade. So keep practicing, keep doing your work. I'm so proud of you. Don't forget to put your hat on and send your teachers pictures, okay? The last thing I want to say, I'm going to write this on the board, is we have our Zoom party tomorrow. We have our second Zoom party. Woo! So tomorrow, remember Thursday at 4 o'clock, we'll be having our Zoom party. We're going to text your parents some information, and we will see you tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Bye, friends. Love you.